Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the man behind the counter, Duncan, and today, since it is spooky season, I thought we would do a comparison of an original horror movie and the remade version of it. Because recently there was a new version of Hellraiser, which I thought was very good, and I'll have a review for that later. But I thought we'd talk about the original version of The Fog from 1980, directed by John Carpenter, starring Adrienne Barbeau, Tom Atkins, and Jamie Lee Curtis. And we'll talk about the 2005 remake starring Tom Welling of Smallville, Selma Blair, and Maggie Grace. And it was directed by Rupert Wainwright. Now, the Hellraiser movie, it had the basic premise of the Hellraiser franchise, but it was really a lot of different things were done. These are pretty close in a lot of ways. And so this one is the scarier version. This was John Carpenter's follow-up to Halloween, I believe. Don't hold me to that. I'm not entirely sure. But it was very early in his career. And I think it's one of his more underrated movies. But it's basically about the town of Antonio Bay. You know, it was founded it was founded before that, but it really hit a level of prosperity 100 years before it takes place. And it's discovered how they were able to invest and create that prosperity, and now the ghosts of the past from their ancestors who really founded the town and built it, they're coming back to haunt them. That's the premise of both of these movies. There was a wealthy guy named Blake who was head of a leper colony, and he wanted to buy a section of the island of Antonio Bay, and for his leper colony, and they would live in peace. But the townspeople of Antonio Bay didn't want a leper colony, but they wanted the money, so they basically betrayed them. That's kept here. Now, like I said, this was much more scary, and it had like a $1 million budget, very minimal. Like, you would see the fog, and you would hear sounds like knocking on doors and stuff like that. It was much more atmosphere scary, not a lot of gore or anything like that, but there would be some sudden things, and the characters try to figure out what's going on. Why are these ghosts coming in the fog? What do they want? What are their motivations? And that's later revealed, that the past of sins of their ancestors are coming back to haunt this town, and the ghost is coming back, and you see it in and out in the fog, like they see a ship and then they don't, and they know a reckoning is coming. And so here the cast is very good, and it's all very subtle, much more atmosphere, like I said. But I always enjoy watching this around this time of year. Now, let's talk about the remake. This one, I think, is unfairly maligned. It's not as good as the original, and it does have some issues here and there, but I think it was a cool way to update it. What I didn't like, obviously, they PG-13'd it, which didn't really help it. And it has that, 2000s horror movie feel. This one obviously has, 25 years of special effects advancement, so there's a lot more CGI. And the thing about here is the ship was called the Elizabeth Dane, and that's pretty much similar. The characters' names are similar, and Antonio Bay, that's still there, and the founding of it. But it's explained more thoroughly. Now, I think part of the reason it wasn't explained as thoroughly here was to create the scare. You weren't really sure what these ghosts from the Elizabeth Dane wanted. Here, it's explained very thoroughly, like what they're back from. They even show, like, the act of betrayal of their ancestors, what happened, that made Antonio Bay prosperous. This is explained more in depth, and that's much more explained. And then the connections, and some of the characters are changed a little bit, and the motivations are changed a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty close. And I think for early to mid 2000s PG-13 horror movie, it's not half bad. It does pretty well, and Tom Welling's good. I was a Smallville fan. He does a good job here, and everybody's good, and overall it does deliver. Now, obviously, it's going to fall off when you. It's not an insult to Rupert Wainwright. He's a solid director. He made a movie called Stigmata with Patricia Arquette I really liked, and this was another movie he made. It was pretty good, but he's no John Carpenter. That's just the way it is. But overall, still some fun to have in spooky season, like when you're watching people who don't want the super gore but want kind of a more backstory. This isn't half bad in my opinion, but obviously you want to go for more scares. There's the original as well, and this one was recently restored in 4K, so I might pick that up. I don't know. Kind of debating that. It's expensive, but anyway, that's my opinion of these two movies. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. Would you be willing to look at it? Are you going to pick up the 4K of the original Fog? Any of that stuff. What other John Carpenter movies do you like? Any of those things. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll try to have some more videos for you soon, and I'll see you next time.